Hey guys, I just want to talk to you about outlining your IWAs. But before I get there, can I please just tell you how much I miss you all? And I know it's super corny and super cheesy, and you're tired of hearing it. But I really do miss you, and I'd way rather be talking to you about this in person. And hopefully, you guys can make it to our Zoom meeting on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. But I'm just really missing you guys, and this is a weird way for me to explain this to you, but hopefully it will help you. I know it's wonky that you still are responsible for so much stuff for College Board, but I really do think you guys are super prepared to write this paper. And we are really lucky that we had a chance to talk about all but one of the stimulus packet materials together as a group. So hopefully you're feeling okay. Just a reminder that we are in the phase of the project where I can't really offer you any direct assistance. I'll chime in occasionally on the Schoology discussions, but I can't really say too much. But you can offer each other a whole lot of assistance. And so a lot of what we're going to be doing is swapping papers with different people and those kinds of assignments. So that's what you're going to do with this outline when you finish it. So this is an outline. It's really similar to a lot of the other outlines that we have done. The format is familiar or should be familiar to you, but I just kind of want to walk you through what you should be doing in each of the boxes here. So the first box is about if you look at the stimulus packet, the whole thing, even the sources you're not going to use, even the sources you feel disconnected from that aren't going to be a part of your paper or your argument, what would you say is sort of the overarching theme of the stimulus packet as and that's going to be the sort of larger question here. And so you're going to answer that question. What do you think is the theme of the stimulus packet as a whole? And you're going to do that in a sentence, not in a single word. So, I'm not really looking for happiness here. I'm looking for something a little bit more extensive, a little bit more thoughtful. Maybe more of a judgmental framework, a judgment that you're making, a claim that you're making, or that you think the stimulus packet is making. Then the next thing you're going to do, you're actually going to skip these two boxes and go straight down to your research questions. So a lot of you have been workshopping your research questions on Schoology, which is amazing. If you have not yet gotten onto Schoology to workshop your research question, I'd really like you to do that. And if you can get onto Schoology and offer some feedback to your classmates, that would be extremely valuable. This is really the time when I need us all to be coming together as a group. So if you can jump on there and provide some constructive feedback, some suggestions. I've seen some really good conversations happening there, but they're fairly limited at this point to just a handful of students in each class. If you could just take 25 or 30 minutes this week to get on there, post a draft of your question, and then also make the effort to respond to one other classmate. Doesn't have to be to everybody, but if you could just commit to that, it would be such a huge help. So once you have a final research question, you've workshopped it, you've talked about it with your classmates, again, I cannot help you with this, but once you have a research question that you feel good about, you're going to put it here. And then within the framework of thinking about that research question, you're going to tell me what's the context and significance. That's the sort of why does it matter? What's the big picture here? What's happening? What's the larger framework? What's the larger set of questions that you're trying to answer? What is the cultural context or the historical context or the economic context? You can think about lenses here. This is not a lens paper, but in terms of thinking about where does this matter, why does this matter, to whom does this matter, that's sort of what goes here. This can be a bolded list. That's totally fine. I can't grade anything that you guys are doing right now, so these things are really for you. To push you as close as you can get to that 4 or 5 on this AP test. Over here on the right-hand side, we're thinking about genuine points of ongoing debate. So if you were to say, where does this fit within a larger debate, a larger argument set of claims or contentious issues. This could be political, this could be social, this could be scientific, sort of who disagrees in the most fundamental ways here. And you can kind of briefly describe that in this box. Then you're going to scroll down here. This is where I want you to start listing out your sources. I really hope you guys have been working on your research up to this point. I hope that you have at least 5 sources, and I just want the title of the source and the author. Excuse me. I do not need a whole citation here, just an author and the title of the source. And then this is where you're going to tell me the requirement from College Board is to use 2 stimulus packet materials. So what's your primary stimulus packet material? There's one that needs to be sort of a central part of your claim, a central part of your argument, something that is going to be fundamentally useful to you. You're not just citing it once. It's not just there to add a little context. It is there as a really critical source in your paper. And then you should sort of reference another one. The other one can be much more in passing, much more tertiary reference, something you put in your intro or your conclusion, or you offer as sort of part of a general review of some other thoughts here. And so just tell me that, and I really want you to answer the second question: why are these sources important, and what are they doing for your specific question here? Once you're done with that, you're going to scroll down here. From those 5 sources or more, you may well have more by now. I want you to tell me, what are your top 3? This does not include the stimulus packet materials. These are 3 additional sources outside of the stimulus packet. And I want to know, what are your top 3? And I want a 1-sentence explanation of why. What is it that makes that source so very valuable to you? It can be very brief here, but just why is this source going to be useful to you? And then how do these 3 sources specifically connect to those stimulus materials? We're thinking about sources being in conversation with each other. So how are these 3 sources in conversation with those sources from the stimulus packet that you are using? Specifically this one that is your primary source. How is this source here really speaking to these 3 sources down here? Then just sort of a plan, as specific as possible. How are you going to frame this argument? What are your paragraphs going to be about? What are the different legs of your argument? What are you standing on here? If your argument branches, which probably everybody's will, has sub pieces. What are those pieces? How are the nuances being allotted here? This is going to be different for everybody, but I want just really basic sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or paragraph 1, paragraph 2, or however you want to sort of frame out. Excuse me. It's been a long day, guys. Oh my goodness. It's been a day. So this is really just whatever is useful to you in terms of thinking about a plan, how you want to structure, how you want to organize your paper. Down here, what do you think is going to be your conclusion? What do you think is going to be your argument? What judgment, what final claim are you planning on making here? In fact, I'm going to add that to this outline of anticipated judgment and final claim. Like, what's the sort of central point that you think this paper is going to make as you synthesize all of these different voices together? Then right before we're done here, we're thinking about multiple perspectives. I'm going to give you a little bit more room. Multiple perspectives on this issue. So this kind of goes back to this ongoing points of ongoing debate, if you want to reference this part of your outline. But hopefully by the time you get down here, you're sort of going through this chronologically, right? So this is sort of initial, just bulleted, what are people talking about within this heading of conversation. Down here, now you have read and annotated 5 sources, and you've picked the 3 that are most important to you, and you have a plan, and you have an organization. So what are the deeply nuanced, complex multifaceted perspectives on this issue. This should not be some people say it's good and some people say it's bad, right? That's sort of polarized opinions. And that may be the case. Those two positions may exist, and those can be here. But what I want more than that is the less polarized, well, he says it's good, but good in this way, and this person says it's good, but good in that way, right? So they're really arguing the same thing, but in different ways. Or this person actually claims that this is stronger than this person thinks it is. Or this person says that this impacts people more in an economic way, and this person thinks that it impacts people more in a cultural way, but they both agree that it has a strong impact, right? Where we're looking at really sort of smaller, more intricate nuances in the arguments and the sets of claims. This is really the central thing that the rubric for this paper is focused on grading. Can students analyze, identify, and synthesize multiple perspectives? It's quite easy to say, the polarized opinions. Some people think climate change is real, and some people think climate change is not real, right? That's sort of polarized, oversimplified way of viewing it. What's much more challenging is digging into, okay, well, here's this wide array of people who believe that climate change is real. And some of them think that climate change is real, but that human behavior has no impact on it. And some people think that human behavior does have an impact on it, but they think that fossil fuels are more important than, reducing emissions from factories, right? Some people think human behavior does play a role, but they think legislative actions to regulate business are more important than switching to renewable energy, right? That's the nuanced argument that you need to be digging into, not just some people think it's real and some people think it's fake, but rather what are the complexities, the intricacies within that overarching argument. And then over here is how are you going to bring those voices together? I will post on Schoology the same document I posted when you were writing your IWAs with some sort of formats for, according to such and such, this is the case. And source B agrees, but in a slightly different way. I'll give you those sort of sentence frameworks. I know those were really helpful for a lot of people in that. And then the last thing you're going to do is draft a thesis statement. And this is a space for questions and concerns. I'd really like these to be submitted by Friday of this week, if that's possible. And then what we're going to do next week is workshop these with a couple of different classmates for as many people as are able to submit them by midnight on Friday. If that feels like an unrealistic timeline, we can discuss it in the Zoom meeting, and maybe I can push it to Monday. I don't know how much work you guys are getting for your other classes, how busy you are, how many responsibilities you have at home. I don't know if you have wireless internet. So we can talk about it. Again, none of this is for grade. It's really just to help you push yourself forward to get the best score that you can get on the AP test, because this paper is being submitted and is being scored, and I know a lot of you have put a lot of effort into this course and are striving for the best possible score on that paper. So this is going to be posted on Schoology along with this video. I really miss you, and just so desperately want to see you and to be back in school with you and to be able to work through the rest of this process together. Gosh, I really miss you guys. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're taking care of yourselves. I hope you're taking care of your mental health. Reach out if you need me. I'm always here. Mrs. Park loves you. Have a great day.